Take the spaceship, it's worthless. Until its fuel reservoir revealed a galaxy-shaking secret, the scrap station hung like a dull jewel at the edge of the star system. Its metal bones were scarred by collisions, storms of debris, and decades of neglect. Ships of every shape and color drifted around its massive docking bays, waiting to be stripped for parts, refitted, or condemned to the void. Among the bustling crowd of scavengers, one ship floated like a forgotten relic. Its hull was scratched and dented, paint peeling to reveal bare metal underneath. Its engines, tiny compared to the massive alien vessels docked nearby, looked like they belonged to a museum display. Its weapons were outdated, and its bridge seemed cramped and unimpressive. A group of alien salvagers swarmed around it, their limbs moving with practiced efficiency. They chattered in strange tones, some high-pitched, others low and guttural, each language carrying a sense of pride, greed, or curiosity. "This one is a joke," said a blue-scaled alien, his voice crackling through the translator. "Look at it. The hull is old. The engine's weak. It cannot even hold speed in deep space. Worthless." The others laughed, their voices overlapping like a chorus of mockery. An older alien, tall and gray-skinned with a ridged forehead, tapped his claw on the hull. "Strip it. Take the metal. Everything else can rot." No one noticed a faint blinking light deep in the ship's engineering bay. There, crouched behind a tangle of pipes and cables, a young human engineer held his breath. His name was Elias Trent. At 28, he was small for a human, with brown hair that refused to stay neat, and a pair of clever eyes that always seemed to be calculating. He had survived the ambush that destroyed the human trade convoy, hiding in this very ship while the aliens took what they thought they could. "They don't know I'm here," he whispered to himself, his fingers brushing over a control panel. "If they touch the fuel reservoir, I have to stop them." The aliens began their work with casual confidence. Tools clanged, sparks flew, and robotic arms tore panels from the ship. A few of them leaned closer to peer inside the hull, laughing at the tiny, cramped bridge. "Primitive design," one said. "How can humans survive with such technology?"
Elias gritted his teeth.
Humans survived because they thought differently. They built not to impress, but to endure. This ship, small as it was, carried secrets the galaxy had never seen, and a fuel reservoir that could shake stars if handled carelessly. One of the aliens, a curious purple-skinned female with translucent skin showing her veins like rivers of light, tapped the reservoir with a tool. The metal casing hummed faintly, and a soft glow seeped from the edges. "Hey," she said, frowning. This is not normal. The containment is too strong." "Human overkill?" "Probably a joke," said a male from another species, taller, with 4 eyes that blinked independently.
Humans always exaggerate."
"It's a scrap station. This reservoir is worthless. Take it apart and move on." Elias's hands moved silently over the control panel, rerouting the ship's internal systems. He had spent weeks understanding this ship, studying the fuel reservoir. It was not like any normal energy source. It was stable, almost alive in its balance, layered with containment fields beyond standard engineering. If the wrong sequence touched it, the reaction could destroy the station. Or worse. He whispered to himself, "Just a few more minutes, just long enough to get them to listen." But the aliens were impatient. They began to open the reservoir casing, prying the metal with tools designed for brute force. Sparks flew. Sensors beeped. The hum grew louder. Elias tensed. "Galanian! Stop. You don't know what you're doing." His voice was weak in the vast docking bay, drowned out by alien chatter and machinery. None of them heard him, until the youngest alien, a thin creature with 3 arms, froze. The reservoir let out a low, resonant tone, vibrating through the floor. A faint light burst from its seams. The aliens instinctively jumped back, but curiosity pushed them forward. "What is happening?" hissed the purple-skinned female. The 4-eyed male pressed a claw to his chest sensors, trying to measure the energy. It shouldn't exist. Nothing this small can hold that much energy."
Elias stepped out from the shadows, hands raised in a gesture of peace.
That's because it wasn't meant to impress anyone, he said. His voice rang through a universal translator. This ship, this fuel, it's designed to survive the impossible.
The aliens turned sharply. A human.
How? One of them demanded. You should be dead. Elias smiled faintly. Humans survive by thinking differently. While you measure power by size or firepower, we build to endure. This fuel reservoir, it can last decades without resupply. It can stabilize a ship far larger than this. It's not a weapon. It's a solution. The purple-skinned alien took a cautious step closer.
A solution for...
What? For survival, Elias replied. We were cut off from galactic trade. Our ships were ambushed. Our crews stranded. I designed this ship to carry energy that could keep humans alive for centuries if needed. It's containment beyond anything you've seen.
The four-eyed male shook his head. Impossible.
Nothing human could do this. Elias ignored him, focusing on stabilizing the energy pulses emanating from the reservoir. He felt the hum in his bones, the subtle vibrations that hinted at raw, contained power. The other aliens argued among themselves. Some wanted to strip the ship immediately, to take whatever they could, ignoring the warnings. Others hesitated, unsure of what this energy really was. Perhaps they exaggerate, said one. Humans do love to brag. Or perhaps, said another, her voice low, this is something dangerous. We could die if we touch it. Elias watched carefully. He had to choose his moment. If they destroyed the reservoir, the station could be gone in minutes. If they ignored it, he might be able to guide them toward understanding. The younger alien finally made a choice. He stepped forward, cautiously touching the casing with a specialized tool. The lights flared, and every sensor on the station screamed. The station shuddered as if it were alive. Lights flickered across other docking bays. Ships rocked slightly in their moorings. Machines that had worked for decades faltered. Elias shouted, "Step back! Do not open it! You don't understand what it holds." The older gray-skinned alien bared his teeth, a sign of anger in his species. Enough! Open it fully! It's a scrap station. Nothing human can destroy us here. The purple-skinned female glanced at him, unsure. It is not just a human ship. That energy, it is enormous. Elias took a deep breath and decided. Words alone wouldn't stop them. He needed action. Using quick sequences, he rerouted energy channels, subtly stabilizing the reservoir's delicate fields. Sparks flared across its surface, but the energy began to calm, settling into a low, steady hum. The aliens stepped back in confusion. Nothing exploded. Nothing died. The hum was constant, almost comforting, but it was undeniably alive, like the heartbeat of a hidden star. What?
What did you do? Asked the purple-skinned female. I stabilized it, Elias said simply.
But it is not mine to destroy, or yours. It is not a weapon. It is a promise. The aliens exchanged uncertain glances. They had expected a useless ship. They never do. The hum of the fuel reservoir filled the room, steady, powerful, and patient. And somewhere deep in the station a single thought began to take root among the aliens. Perhaps humans were not weak. Perhaps they were something the galaxy had never seen before. The story paused here, on the edge of understanding as tension hung in the air like the quiet before a storm. The docking bay shivered with the quiet pulse of the ship's fuel reservoir. Its hum was steady, almost like the heartbeat of a hidden star. Aliens who had once laughed at the human vessel now stood frozen, staring at it with a mixture of fear and curiosity. You said it was a survival system, the purple-skinned female whispered, her translucent skin glowing faintly with stress. How can a small ship survive this long with that energy? Elias Trent stepped forward, brushing dust from his worn jacket. It's not just about survival, he said calmly. It's about endurance. Humans never built this to impress. We built it to endure the impossible. Deep space, ambushes, years without support. The gray-skinned elder, still wary, clicked his claws nervously. Impossible? That energy, it is enormous. One spark, one mistake, and this station could be destroyed. It should not exist. Elias shook his head. That's the point. Humans create solutions for things that should not exist. We survive where others fail. This reservoir isn't a weapon. It is a promise. If used correctly, it can sustain life for centuries. The aliens exchanged uneasy glances. None of their civilizations had ever produced something like this. Their starships depended on massive fleets, energy networks, and constant supply lines. A single human ship, small as it was, seemed to mock everything they had ever believed about power. A sudden vibration ran through the station, subtle at first, then more insistent. Sensors beeped across every docking bay. Lights flickered in warning. The aliens backed up instinctively. "What now?" hissed the four-eyed male, fear creeping into his tone. "That's the fuel's warning," Elias said. "It's detecting interference. It's alive in a way your sensors cannot measure. It senses instability." "Alive?" the purple-skinned female asked, stepping closer to examine the reservoir.
It's responding? Yes, Elias said.
It's stable but sensitive. Mishandled, it could destroy the station. Or worse. That's why I warned you not to open it. The gray-skinned elder's claws tapped on the floor, a slow rhythm of contemplation. "Then it is not a weapon?" "No," Elias said firmly. "We never intended it to be one. Humans survived ambushes in space because we could adapt. This fuel, it stores energy far beyond our ship's size. It allows one vessel to operate independently for decades without resupply. You call it worthless because it doesn't look impressive, but it is more powerful than any of your fleets." The younger, purple-skinned female glanced at the elder. "Decades?" she repeated. "A single ship for decades?" Elias nodded. "Exactly. It is humanity's secret for survival in a hostile galaxy. We call it the Lifeblood Project." The elder's eyes narrowed. "Then why is this ship so small? Why risk leaving such power exposed in a scrap station?" Elias looked around the docking bay. "Because it was a test ship, a prototype. And because humans... We sometimes make mistakes, but the fuel is still safe if treated correctly." The aliens hesitated. Some wanted to flee. Some wanted to destroy the reservoir out of fear, but none could move without understanding what they were facing. Then a new alarm blared from the station. It was not the human ship's sensors this time. It came from the Galactic monitoring array, far above in orbit, automated and distant. It had detected the unusual energy signature and sent an instant alert to every system in the local sector.
Do you hear that?
The four-eyed male said, his voice low. "The galaxy. They've detected it." Elias's eyes narrowed. "They think it's a weapon. They don't understand. The Council will respond immediately." The docking bay erupted into tension. Ships turned on their own power systems, monitoring the anomaly. Communication arrays hummed, sending messages that would reach fleets across the system in minutes. The aliens realized that a single human prototype ship had caused a ripple that could alert the entire galaxy. This can't be safe," said the purple-skinned female, stepping closer to Elias. "If the Council arrives, they will attack." "They will," Elias admitted. "And they should not. This is not a weapon. But they will see it as one because it is beyond anything they understand. Humans have built things the galaxy has never seen." The gray-skinned elder growled low in his throat. "Then why didn't you destroy it yourself?" Elias shook his head. "Humans do not destroy their own solutions for survival. We never build to kill. We build to endure. That is what makes humans dangerous." A young alien engineer, trembling, pointed at the fuel reservoir.
Dangerous? It's just a small ship.
"How can humans be dangerous with something so small?" Elias smiled faintly. "Because we think differently. You measure power by size, by weapons, by fleets. Humans measure survival, and when humans survive, we cannot be stopped easily. The aliens looked at each other, their previous arrogance fading. They had mocked the ship. They had laughed at Elias. But now, standing before a human who survived an ambush that destroyed an entire convoy, they realized they had underestimated something far beyond technology. The hum from the fuel reservoir grew stronger, almost as if it were responding to Elias's confidence. Its energy rippled outward, brushing the sensors of other ships. Panels flickered. The aliens instinctively stepped back, feeling the sheer scale of energy contained within a small hull. What? What is it made of? The purple-skinned female whispered. Elias glanced at the reservoir. It is compressed artificial stellar core matter, contained and stabilized using human-designed fields. It's a miracle of endurance, not violence. One spark of it could power this station for decades. Or destroy it entirely if mishandled. The Elder's claws tapped the floor faster. Artificial. A star, stabilized by a human? Impossible. That should not exist. Exactly, Elias said. Nothing like it exists in the galaxy. Humans were cut off. We were alone. We needed a way to survive when all else failed. This fuel, this ship, it is our answer. Not to conquer, but to endure. The younger aliens stared at him, wide-eyed. Their minds raced to imagine a galaxy where humans carried such hidden reserves, ships small yet capable of surviving alone for decades. Their arrogance faded, replaced by a nervous respect. Then the monitoring array's alert repeated, louder this time. Fleets would arrive in minutes, scanning for the anomaly. They will come, Elias said, and they will assume this is a weapon. They will not understand humanity's intentions. The purple-skinned female stepped forward. Then, what do we do? Elias considered. We must stabilize the reservoir, prevent interference, and survive until they understand. This is not a battle of firepower. It is a battle of understanding. And humans endure when others panic. The gray-skinned elder finally nodded, reluctantly. Very well, we will not touch it further. For now, but if it explodes, it is on your head, human.
Elias nodded. I accept that.
But I promise you, it will not explode if treated with care. He moved swiftly to the control panel, guiding subtle energy flows, ensuring the fuel remained stable despite the aliens' earlier interference. Sparks faded. The hum settled into a steady, gentle rhythm. The aliens watched, fascinated, as the humans' calm precision tamed the energy. They realized that humans did not fight with size or brute force. They fought with knowledge, innovation, and adaptability. Minutes passed, the docking bay quiet except for the hum. Outside, ships drifted in orbit, unaware of the human vessel that had turned a scrap station into a point of galactic attention. Finally, the purple-skinned female broke the silence. You survived an ambush, hid on a ship no one wanted, and controlled this star fuel. Humans, you are not like us. Elias shrugged lightly. We never claimed to be like anyone else. We survive. We endure. And sometimes, that is enough to terrify the galaxy. The Elder's claws tapped the floor slowly. Perhaps, humans are more dangerous alive than dead. Elias smiled faintly, his gaze on the glowing reservoir. Dangerous? Maybe. But dangerous is not the goal. Surviving, enduring, that is what matters. Suddenly another vibration ran through the station. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but Elias felt it in his bones. They're coming, he said quietly. The Galactic Council, they have detected this energy. They will arrive soon, and they will assume this is a weapon. Panic flared in the younger aliens. Weapon? The purple-skinned female repeated. No! It is not a weapon. Elias shook his head. That's what they will think. But humans build solutions beyond fear. And when they see the truth, they will understand that humans survive in ways no one expects. The docking bay grew tense again as alarms began to signal incoming fleets. The aliens looked to Elias, fear and respect battling in their expressions. He stepped toward the fuel reservoir, placing his hands over the glowing casing. The hum resonated through him, a calm in the storm of panic. "Prepare yourselves," he said. "They will come. And when they do, they will learn that humans endure when others falter." Outside, in the dark void of space, distance sensors picked up the energy spike. Fleets began their slow approach, scanning, analyzing, ready to respond to a threat they could not yet comprehend. And inside the scrap station, a small, battered human ship hummed quietly. Its prototype fuel reservoir glowed steadily, alive with power. And at its heart, Elias Trent prepared to show the galaxy that humanity could survive where no one else could, even when called worthless. The void of space was alive with motion. Distant warships, sleek and immense, slid silently toward the scrap station. Their hulls gleamed in the starlight, and their sensors burned like watchful eyes. Every ship carried fleets of officers, scientists, and soldiers, summoned by the Galactic Council's alert. Inside the scrap station, the docking bay pulsed with tension. Aliens who had once mocked the small human ship now stared at it with wide eyes, their claws tapping nervously. They had never seen energy like this, nor a human who could control it. Elias Trent stood near the glowing fuel reservoir, hands hovering above the panel. His calm demeanor contrasted sharply with the chaos around him. The hum of the energy filled the air, steady and confident, a heartbeat that no one could deny. "They are coming fast," said the purple-skinned female, her voice trembling. How will we explain this? They will think it is a weapon." Elias shook his head. "They will assume what they always assume, that humans mean harm. But it is not a weapon, it is survival. That is the difference." The gray-skinned elder clicked his claws in frustration. "Survival? They will not understand. They will see the energy and panic. They will attack first, ask questions later."
Elias nodded. "Then we must show them reason before they act."
The galaxy underestimates humans. It will learn soon enough. Minutes passed. Outside, the Council's fleet emerged from hyperspace. Massive warships, bristling with weaponry and shielded in layered energy fields, formed a crescent around the station. They scanned every sector with relentless precision. Automated drones swept the area, measuring energy signatures and analyzing the anomaly. Inside the station, alarms blared. The aliens froze, unsure whether to flee, fight, or hide. Elias stayed where he was, studying the incoming signals. "They will send a delegation first," he predicted. "Not all fleets fire at first sight. Some will come to verify. But make no mistake, they will be ready to attack if they sense danger." A communication panel blinked. A hologram appeared. The Council's representative, a humanoid with pale silver skin and piercing eyes. His voice was cold, formal. "Identify yourselves," he commanded. "Explain the energy signature detected in this sector. Immediate compliance is required. Failure to comply will be considered an act of aggression." Elias raised his hand slowly. "I am Elias Trent, human engineer aboard this vessel. This is not an act of aggression. The energy you detect is a human fuel reservoir designed for survival, not war. Please, listen carefully before you judge." The hologram's eyes narrowed. "A human? Alive?" "Yes," Elias said. "I survived an ambush that destroyed our convoy. This ship and its fuel system are part of humanity's solution for deep space survival. It is not a weapon. It cannot be used to harm others. Its only purpose is to sustain life in isolation." The Council representative's eyes flickered with suspicion. "You expect us to believe that a small human vessel contains energy beyond our fleets, and that you use it only for survival?" Elias nodded. "It is exactly as I say. Humans think differently. While others build fleets to dominate, we build to endure. We survive where others would perish. This reservoir is proof of that." A low murmur ran through the docking bay. The alien stared at Elias, amazed by his calm explanation. They had once feared the Council's wrath, but now they were witnesses to the truth of human ingenuity. "Enough talk," the silver-skinned representative said finally. "We will verify your claims. Failure to comply may result in force." Elias pressed a few buttons, allowing the Council drones to approach the ship. Sensors scanned the reservoir, measuring energy density, stability, and composition. The hum of the fuel seemed to resonate with the probes, almost as if it were aware of their inspection. The alien observers leaned forward. "It's stable," the purple-skinned female whispered. "But the readings, they are enormous. How can one small ship hold so much energy?" Elias smiled faintly. "Because humans have to survive in ways no one else can imagine. We do not rely on supply lines or fleets to sustain life. We adapt. We endure. This energy is designed for centuries of survival, not for destruction." The Council's drones completed their analysis and relayed data back to the fleet. There was a long pause. The representative's eyes widened as he processed the information. This cannot be true," he muttered. "A human ship, carrying energy beyond our fleets, and stable. Operational for over 2 centuries? "Yes," Elias said. "And every long-range human vessel carries a similar system scaled to its mission. It is our lifeline. Not a weapon, not a threat. Just survival." The silver-skinned representative hesitated, then leaned closer to the communication panel. You are telling the truth. This technology exceeds our understanding. If humans intended war, they could dominate any system without effort." Elias's eyes were steady. "That is why humans do not intend war. We build to endure, not to conquer. That is what makes us unpredictable." The Council representative leaned back, visibly unsettled. "This changes everything," he said softly. "We cannot ignore humanity, but we must understand it first." In the docking bay, the aliens whispered among themselves. They had mocked the human ship, laughed at Elias, and yet now they could not deny it. Humans had built not only survival systems beyond imagination, but they had done so without aggression, a concept alien civilizations struggled to comprehend.
The elder gray-skinned alien finally spoke.
"Perhaps humans are not just survivors. Perhaps they are a stabilizing force the galaxy has never seen." Elias nodded. "Exactly. Humans endure where others fail. And sometimes enduring is more powerful than any fleet, any weapon, any law." The Council representative remained silent for a moment, then spoke again. "We will send experts. Human engineers will be invited, no required, to our research stations. You will demonstrate your systems. Failure to cooperate will be seen as aggression." Elias's eyes flickered with a hint of a smile. "I will cooperate." Humans cooperate when it ensures survival. But make no mistake, we will not bow to fear, nor will we hide our solutions. The docking bay settled into tense quiet. Outside, the Council fleet hovered, scanning. Inside, the aliens realized that the small human ship they once considered worthless now held the galaxy's attention, and at the center of it all, Elias Trent remained calm, guiding the reservoir, ensuring it remained stable, demonstrating quietly but clearly the truth of human endurance. Hours passed. Council experts arrived in small craft hovering near the ship, running additional scans. Every measurement confirmed what Elias had said. Humans had built a power source beyond comprehension, capable of survival on scales no alien civilization had achieved.
"This is extraordinary," one Council engineer muttered. "Beyond science as we know it."
Humans. They have done the impossible. The silver-skinned representative nodded. "This is more than a survival system. It is proof of human ingenuity and human restraint. They could dominate, yet they choose endurance. That is remarkable." Elias remained calm. "Humans endure because the universe is cruel. We do not dominate because we enjoy power. We endure because we cannot accept helplessness." That is the difference. The council representatives exchanged uncertain glances. Their fleets had been built to command, to control, to conquer. But humans operated under an entirely different logic, one that no algorithm, no protocol, no fleet formation could fully predict. Perhaps humans are not a threat, one engineer said quietly. Perhaps they are. Something else. Something the galaxy has never seen. Alias nodded. We are. And that is why you will have to learn to respect us, not just fear us. Outside the station, distant fleets shifted slightly. The galaxy was waking up to a revelation. Humans carried hidden power, not for war, but for survival. Their endurance had gone unnoticed, underestimated until now. And in a small docking bay among aliens who had mocked them, a human engineer stood quietly, demonstrating that humanity had already reshaped how the galaxy thought about strength. As night fell across the station, the hum of the fuel reservoir filled every corner. Aliens whispered among themselves. Fleets recalculated strategies, and council representatives began drafting reports that would change galactic policy forever. Elias Trent stepped back from the reservoir, allowing the council engineers to examine it more closely. He knew the galaxy would never see humans the same way again. For centuries, humans had endured the impossible. Now, the galaxy would see why. And somewhere deep in the council's communications, data was already being sent to other systems. One small human ship carrying energy beyond any fleet had survived when all thought it worthless, and it held a secret that could change the galaxy forever. The docking bay was alive with tension. Council engineers, alien observers, and human onlookers crowded around the small ship that had once been called worthless. Its hull was battered, its paint faded, yet inside it carried a power the galaxy had never seen. The fuel reservoir glowed steadily, calm as a heartbeat, a reminder of humanity's endurance. Elias Trent stood near the control panel, surveying the crowd. They had spent decades, well, not personally decades, but generations of humans had spent decades, developing systems like this. The galaxy had always dismissed humans as weak, as unpredictable, as ordinary. Yet here they were, standing on the edge of a revelation that could rewrite history. The silver-skinned council representative addressed the assembly. This vessel, this human creation, is unlike anything we have ever encountered. Its energy output exceeds the total reserves of several fleets combined. Yet it is stable, controlled, and ethical. It cannot be weaponized without violating human safeguards. The implications are profound. A murmur ran through the aliens. Some whispered fears of power, others whispered admiration. None could deny the truth. Humans had built not for war, but for survival. And in doing so, they had become the most unpredictable species in the galaxy. Elias stepped forward. Outside, the council fleet adjusted its formations, keeping a cautious distance but maintaining surveillance. Across the void, sensors and communications arrays buzzed, sharing data that would change galactic politics, trade, and exploration forever. Inside the docking bay, Elias worked alongside council engineers. He demonstrated the energy flow, the containment fields, the fail-safe protocols designed to prevent misuse. Each system revealed more than raw power. It revealed thought, foresight, and ethics embedded in every design.
This is remarkable, one engineer said.
The containment alone, it adapts to environmental stress automatically, without input. If humans intended this for war, he paused, shaking his head. No, they did not. This is survival engineering, perfected. Elias smiled faintly. Humans survive because we cannot accept helplessness. Our power is not in weapons or fleets. It is in foresight, endurance, and ethics. That is why humans endure. The purple-skinned female, observing quietly, leaned closer. And this ship, this worthless ship, it is more than a prototype? Yes, Elias said. It is a symbol. Small, unassuming, easily dismissed. But it carries proof of human ingenuity, of our ability to survive where others cannot. We built it to endure the impossible, and we succeeded.
The gray-skinned elder nodded slowly.
Then, This vessel will become a legend. Elias glanced at the fuel reservoir. Its glow was steady, almost proud, a silent acknowledgement of its purpose. It already is, he said. Weeks passed. The council established a research station around the scrap outpost. Human engineers worked alongside aliens, demonstrating the fuel technology, teaching containment methods, and showing the galaxy that humans were not dangerous conquerors. They were responsible innovators, prepared for survival in a universe that often offered none. Aliens who had once mocked the ship now treated it with reverence. They recorded its design, copied its systems where safe, and marveled at the foresight of a species who had always been underestimated. Elias spent his days guiding research, answering questions, and demonstrating the principles behind human endurance. Each demonstration reminded the galaxy that humans had always operated differently. They build not to dominate, a council observer whispered to a colleague. They build to endure. And that makes them unpredictable. Unpredictable, yes, the colleague agreed. And when humans endure, no one, not fleets, not empires, can fully predict what they will do next. One evening, as the artificial sun of the station set over the docking bay, the fuel reservoir glowed quietly, the calm in the storm of activity around him. He placed his hand on the hull.
They called you worthless, he whispered, but you are more than any fleet.
More than any weapon. You are proof that humans endure. The aliens had begun calling the vessel the Endurance, a name that carried respect and awe. The ship had become a symbol, small but mighty, overlooked but vital, a reminder that humans did not need intimidation or brute force to reshape the galaxy. Then a new revelation emerged. Elias accessed the failsafe protocols embedded in the fuel reservoir. Hidden within its systems were codes that ensured ethical use. If any species attempted to manipulate the reservoir for destruction, the system would automatically shut down, preventing misuse.
This is incredible, said one council engineer, examining the failsafes. Humans built ultimate power and chained it with responsibility.
Elias smiled. Exactly. We endure. We survive. But we also ensure that survival does not become harm. That is what separates humans from other species. The council representative recorded the findings, clearly impressed. The galaxy must recognize humans for what they truly are. Not conquerors, not opportunists, but architects of endurance, capable of holding the line when others falter. In the docking bay, the aliens nodded, understanding finally dawning on them. Humans had survived ambushes, built vessels beyond comprehension, and preserved life in the harshest conditions. And they had done it without aggression, proving that power could exist responsibly. Elias climbed into the ship's small bridge. The controls hummed beneath his hands, familiar and alive. He looked at the glowing reservoir, steady as ever.
They will remember this, he whispered, not because we demanded respect,
but because we endured when no one else could. The council representatives, the aliens, the engineers, all watched in quiet awe as Elias activated the ship's engines. The small vessel lifted smoothly from the docking bay, its glow visible even from the orbiting fleets. It did not roar like a battleship. It did not display intimidation. It glided calm and confident, powered by energy that carried centuries of human ingenuity. The galaxy had learned a lesson it would never forget. Humans did not need to dominate. They did not need to wage war. Their greatest strength was endurance, innovation, and the calm courage to survive against all odds. The ship that had once been dismissed as worthless now represented an entire species' resilience. Its glow shone in the darkness of space like a quiet declaration. Humanity would endure, no matter what the galaxy threw at them. The council representative recorded his final observation. They called it worthless, he said, almost to himself, because they never understood. Humans do not build to impress. Humans build to endure. And in that endurance lies their true power.
Elias guided the ship into open space.
Stars stretched endlessly before him, the void waiting. Behind him, the galaxy had already changed. Humans were no longer underestimated. They were respected, feared, and admired, not for the force they could unleash, but for the endurance they could sustain. And the small ship, battered, old, and once dismissed as scrap, carried with it a promise that humans, in the face of impossible odds, would always survive, always endure, and always remind the galaxy that sometimes strength comes not from aggression, but from the quiet, unwavering power of survival. They had expected scrap, maybe an easy laugh. Instead, they were facing something they could not comprehend: a human mind, and the strange endurance of a species that had learned to survive where others would fail. The older gray-skinned alien lowered his claws slightly. "A promise?" he repeated. Ilias nodded. "Humans survive because we cannot accept helplessness. We build not to dominate, but to endure. That fuel, that ship, it is our answer to being alone in the stars." For a moment the docking bay was silent. Even the hum of machinery seemed to pause, listening. Then a warning alarm sounded from the station's central sensors, a ripple from the reservoir, faint but measurable across the system. The aliens flinched. "What is that?" demanded the four-eyed male. "It is the warning," Elias said. "This energy is stable, but only if respected. Mishandled, it could destroy this station. Or worse." Panic flickered across their eyes, and for the first time they hesitated. The purple-skinned female finally stepped forward. Maybe we should listen to him." The gray-skinned elder growled low in his throat, torn between pride and fear. "We are scavengers. We do not bow to humans, or any species. But perhaps caution is wise." Elias allowed himself a small, almost imperceptible smile. The first step had been taken. Humans were underestimated, but he would show them that humans build not to impress, but to endure. As the aliens debated their next move, Elias turned back to the control panel. Deep inside, the reservoir glowed softly. It was calm now, but alive, and in its quiet energy, it held secrets that could shake a galaxy. Outside the scrap station, ships drifted, unaware that one small human vessel, mocked and dismissed, carried the key to a revelation that would change how every alien civilization thought about humanity. Elias whispered to himself, "They called it worthless, but they don't understand. You see this fuel reservoir," he said, pointing at the glowing heart of the ship, "and you think of fleets, of war, of power. But that is not what it is for. Humans endure because the universe is harsh. We build to survive. We build to keep life alive where others fail. And that is the only reason this energy exists." The purple-skinned female, still wide-eyed, spoke.
"Then, humans do not seek conquest?"
Elias shook his head.
We conquer nothing. We survive everything.
"That is our power." The council representative leaned forward, his tone cautious.
Explain this.
"Every long-range human ship carries this fuel, scaled to mission size?" "Yes," Elias said. "Every exploration, every supply run, every crew sent into unknown space carries the same principle. Not for dominance, but for endurance. We cannot rely on allies, trade networks, or fleets to survive. We must endure alone if necessary. That is the human way." The gray-skinned elder who had once mocked Elias and the ship tapped his claws slowly. Then, humans are not only survivors, but architects of endurance.
Elias nodded. Exactly, and that is why you cannot ignore us.
Because we will endure where others falter, and when we act, it will be with a purpose you do not yet understand.
The council representative studied Elias carefully, then made a decision.
You will accompany our experts. You will teach them. Human engineers will demonstrate your systems. Your work will not be confiscated. It will be studied carefully.
Elias inclined his head. I will cooperate.
But understand this. Humans cooperate when it ensures survival, not when it guarantees obedience. The docking bay settled into a tense quiet. The alien observers whispered among themselves. They had expected a worthless ship. They had expected easy salvage. Instead, they faced a species capable of building tools the galaxy could not comprehend.